Hello viewer, the Nameless Scholar here, and welcome back to more Age of Sigmar lore. In this video, I will be talking about the Nighthaunt. Before I begin, if you want more Age of Sigmar lore videos, check out my channel and other videos. I'd be grateful if you liked, commented, and subscribed, as well as shared this video. My purpose is to prove that Age of Sigmar is more than just the game that killed Warhammer Fantasy. The Nighthaunt are geists with an innate hatred of all that is living. They cannot be killed through normal means unless one strikes at them without fear and with conviction. Although they have the appearance of rotting carcasses and bones, their forms are incorporeal, being able to phase through solid objects. They are the result of Nagash bringing back a soul that was almost always a criminal or was wronged in life, and forcing them shackles and giving them a promise of vengeance in undeath, serving their sentence forever and or doing Nagash's will. It is a position reserved against those who defied and blasphemed against Nagash. This purpose is to bring the living to the justice of Nagash and into his fold, while the Nighthaunts get to spread their misery to the living. Normally, when a denizen of the mortal realms die, their soul goes to the underworlds of Shyish, depending on what type of afterlife they believe in. They might be punished in this afterlife or find peace. Some might even linger as ghosts until they cease existing entirely. But when Nagash did the Necroquake, things changed. Now most find themselves drawn to the Shyish Nadir, the gaping hole in the middle of the realm of death. Then Nagash remakes them into Nighthaunts by stripping away the good of humanity and leaving a shell that hates all that is living. He contorts their incorporeal form into twisted abominations, scarred by death magic. Those whom have survived the attack of such a geist will be scarred psychologically for life. It is oftentimes said that even a well-made blade will do nothing against a Nighthaunt, as if they were swinging at thin air. Meanwhile, the Nighthaunt wield enchanted weapons that can kill their foe in a single strike. The Nighthaunt feed mainly off of two things: fear and amethyst magic. This also means that they can be affected by real icons and conviction, which leads to them having a harder time killing, say, a priest of sorts. Should one hold a holy symbol in the Nighthaunt's general direction, they won't be able to harm their victim. This is why the Nighthaunts have to use terror tactics, because it guarantees that they can kill their enemies. Because fear is so primal, it is easy to scare others. Because the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest type of fear is the fear of the unknown. When the Necroquake began, the mortal realms were flooded with fear as Nighthaunt killed mortals by the thousands. Their specter first loomed over the Undertakers, then the villagers, towns and entire kingdoms, whereas the survivors fled en masse to other locations as refugees as the Nighthaunt spread across the realms like a plague. The Nighthaunt, like all death factions, are most prominent in Shyish. The Necroquake made it so that the underworlds of Shyish were devoured by the Shyish Nadir, as Nagash irreparably changed how Shyish's underworlds works forever with the construction of his Black Pyramid. And essentially he filled it with grave sand that was recovered from the edges of Shyish through the centuries. He filled it and then inverted this pyramid. This created the biggest magic pit in existence, as the Black Pyramid plunged deep into the realm's core. As death magic concentrated at the core, the entire realm's magical polarity shifted. When I start making videos on the Necroquake, I will elaborate on this. All you need to know is that this is a mimicry of a mortal superstition where if you invert an hourglass full of grave sand, which is the realm stone of Shyish, your lifespan will double. However, the Necroquake was not a complete success, thanks to many unknown factors that were in play, and the vampires had turned a blind eye to the machinations of the Skaven. Why did I explain this? Well, the Necroquake is what allowed the Nighthaunt Empire on Shyish to become a thing, also referred to as the Dolorum Empire. Dolorum comprised of fiefdoms located on the continent of Neferatia. Their underworld was of the unspoken, of those who saw injustice and never spoke about it. They convinced themselves that they would pay dearly for this, and they did. But this didn't prevent settlers from founding Dolorum on Neferatia. They expanded inland, and the islands off the coast, such as the Isle of Last Sighs, where death rattles can be heard through the wind, Zlid, where people revere pain, and more. The land of Dolorum became known as the Screaming Wastes for the outsiders, as many of the dead drove the denizens to madness. When the Empire was overwhelmed by the forces of chaos, their leader, Lady Oleander, decided to parley with them. This greatly angered Nagash. He cursed the entire land and turned all of them into bodiless specters, making sure they felt every iota of guilt. And with the underworld of the unspoken, they have become the scourge of the living on Shyish, the greatest Nighthaunt empire. Other realms also have Nighthaunt kingdoms and infested areas, even well after the Necroquake, but they are smaller and scattered around, wounds from Nagash's ritual if you may. During the Necroquake, they attack civilization mindlessly and haphazardly like a zombie apocalypse, but figures like Lady Oleander, whom is the Mortarch of Grief, gathered Nighthaunt during the Soul Wars to form what are referred to as Processions. In the case of Dolorumians, when their nobles don't lead the procession, a Knight of Shrouds does. These were generals and captains in life, combining their hatred of the living and their tactical acumen. They are dangerous opponents. This invigorates the Nighthaunt around them and makes them savagely attack their enemies. The more patient general prefers to wear down the enemy with lesser geists before their elites swoop in and finish the job. Under a procession commander are the lesser captains, all of them with their own preferred ways of bringing death upon the living. While the bulk of the Nighthaunt are cannon fodder, they can be brought back, but they are capable of specialized formations such as spearheads or focused assaults. Now, 4 particular processions have been the most influential across the mortal realms: the Grieving Legion, the Emerald Host, the Scarlet Doom, and the Quicksilver Dead. Starting with the Grieving Legion, they are the heralds of Lady Oleander, the Mortarch of Grief, pouring out of Silontium, the capital of Dolorum. They are the cold, bony claws of Nagash, dragging poor mortals to Shyish. Led by royal jailers, torturers, and executioners. Then there is the Emerald Host. Once they were a conspiracy of knights that banded against Lady Oleander. Now they are her horsemen, hunting down whomever Lady Oleander has cursed. This curse starts with the premonitions of the victim's own demise. Then the world gets bleached of color. Then in the distance they start seeing an emerald glow. And from that glow comes the cavaliers of the Emerald Host, riding to claim the soul of their lady's ire. To date, the only known survivor of this hex is Be'lakor, which Lady Oleander only considers him to postpone his fate. Then there is the Scarlet Doom, whom are Nighthaunt that in life had their bodies mutilated by blood-drunk warriors and sadists, or had their flesh eaten by cannibals or by other sapient species. They are the bane of armies filled with callous soldiers, whether a Khorne bloodbound army, any Orc war clan, or even the Daughters of Cain, which might have sacrificed one in their sacrifices to Moraphicane. They don't manifest like normal Nighthaunts, they manifest from pools of blood, like Khorne demons, and brutally attack whomever the target of their personal vendetta may be. Finally, there are the Quicksilver Dead, which have high concentrations of Chamonite energy as much as Amethyst energy. They are not incorporeal but fluid. They spill under doors, through keyholes, etc. Hitting them is like hitting actual Quicksilver, and their shape is still like that of a Nighthaunt. The first Quicksilver Dead was summoned by one Selemnis of Anvrok at the forge city of Elixia in Chamon. Stories say that she used them to create weapons of immense quality, which can be found to this day. During the Age of Chaos, Elixia was sacked and Solemnis was put to death by being boiled alive in her own cauldron. Nagash has brought her and the Elixians back as these fluid apparitions that take revenge from the servants of the Dark Gods that wrong them and carry out Nagash's will, of course. If you have watched my videos before, you will know that this is the section where I talk about the units, starting with the non-named characters. When you see a Krulgas Cruciator, what you need to do is run and never look back, because they don't intend to just kill you. They intend to kill you right after you break from excruciating bodily and psychological torture. These are souls whom died during torture, which is why they still carry the racks they were broken upon on their backs. They are souls which made the Faustian deal when they begged for their torture to stop, and Nagash answered. When they accepted, all of their positive qualities were stripped, and a sadistic revenant is all that remains. Then there are the Knights of Shrouds, which are the souls of knights whom have betrayed their comrades, nation, and or broke their oath out of weakness, cowardice, greed, envy, or spite. These betrayers are sort of pardoned by Nagash. For whatever their reason was, he deems that they saw the futility of fighting against Nagash's legions of undead, and gave them an immortal life where they can kill their former allies to their heart's content. Whereas the Dreadblade Harrows are the spirits of those who did nothing while their masters betrayed their people, now cursed to be a revenant riding a skeletal steed, emitting an emerald glow. In front of them in one moment and another, reappearing from the back, piercing the enemy with its sword. Then there are Hexwraiths, whom were horsemen in real life. Their crime was to love their steed more than their fellow man, and now they can never rest. Only hunt, from the pitch-black rivers of Shyish to the lavas of Akshi. Their scythes separate soul from body, turning their victims into senseless corpses. Tomb Banshees are the spirits of women that have faced the greatest betrayals, whether their husbands committed adultery, betrayed by someone, or burnt the stakes unjustly with the accusations of witchcraft. Nagash leaves nothing but their pain, which they can only vent out with their infamous screams that freeze blood, turn those who hear it white as alabaster, and blow eardrums. Those who do survive a banshee and not have their eardrums blown are haunted by the experience forevermore. In the blackest of nights, they hear that blood-curdling scream echoing in their minds, while the banshee cuts the internal organs of another victim with their phantom daggers somewhere. Cairn Wraiths are the most common greater wraiths regarding the leaders of the processions, and hence the most commonly associated with the Nighthaunt in general. The mortals have turned them into an icon of death, a universal depiction where a skull-faced wraith, clad in a black robe emanating an eerie glow, with a scythe in hand that can harvest the souls of all it strikes, leaving lifeless, cold bodies. There is a misconception that Cairn Wraiths are all souls of murderers, but each Cairn Wraith has its own story, some being a pact that would expand their lives gone wrong, others being people who discovered forbidden truths about life and death that were never meant to be for mortal minds, so on and so on. Then there are the Guardians of the Dead, which are conduits in the other realms Nagash uses to make sure the lesser dice are not banished back to Shyish. They are the spirits of necromancers that have slighted Nagash, turned into an exile of the necromantic energy they once sought to exploit for their own gains. The lanterns they carry makes the spirits attracted to it like moths to a flame, and one can see its ethereal glow in the dead of night at a graveyard or a mausoleum, though these guardians are also the reason why you don't go to such a place at night. Then there are spirit torments, whom are the jailers of Nagash, said to be the wardens of an entire underworld. They feast on the hopes of the souls they captured, and it is said that they can capture the souls of Stormcast Eternals before they can return to Azir before they are reforged. They are the symbols of how the great necromancer's grip can reach anywhere. These spirit torments have helpers called chain ghasts, which in life were those who were incarcerated and didn't make Nagash for release. But to other gods, as punishment, they wear faceless iron masks, have just enough awareness to desire release, but they have only one task: helping the spirit torments incarcerate. Their chains are both shackles and weapons. They use them as flails, and when swung with sufficient force, they whirl amethyst flames that burn the spirit rather than the body. Then there are royal executioners. These in life were executioners whose crimes was taking pleasure in executions rather than seeing it as a grim, necessary business. In death, the souls of those wrongly executed whirl around them, and a hangman apparatus has been infused with their spines, and now they have no pretense. They blatantly enjoy killing. Wow, the Nighthaunt have a lot of HQs. This being the final one. The Scriptores Mortis are historians, judges, and juries, whom not only write down and debunk the lies of Sigmar, but also reveal Nagash's truths, uphold his laws by punishing mortal souls to an appropriate underworld. Boisterous warriors expecting to feast alongside their brethren find themselves in an endless tundra. A crusader who fights against undead finds themselves immobile in a field full of shuffling corpses. A Scriptores Mortis can snuff out the life of a mortal by literally snuffing out a magic candle. If someone acts fast enough, however, this can be prevented. Given the presence of other Nighthaunts surrounding the Scriptores Mortis, however, this is easier said than done. Finally, onto the battle line units. Firstly, their cavalry, the Glaive Stalkers, are unrelenting hunters that will obsessively hunt down their target, as if their long blades were arcane compasses that follow the victim wherever they go. In life, they were hunters of their fellow man, and in undeath, they still are. But this time, they take their time, because time has no meaning for them. Their target might spend years, even decades escaping, until the target either lowers his guard or cannot run anymore. They are met with a painful sting of a sharp object driving deep into their trachea. Then there are the Grimghast Reapers, which are the foot soldiers. In real life, these were meticulous serial killers that sought to hide their tracks. Some were those who made others do their dirty work. In undeath, they are geists that kill indiscriminately, even which side is denied to them. They swing their weapons in a frenzy, killing anything that comes in front of them. Then there are the Chain Rasps, which in life were criminals who thought that death was the only escape. Well, they were dead wrong, no pun intended, because in undeath, they are left with nothing but the pain they experienced in the last few months of their lives and envy towards the living. Then there are the Spirit Hosts, which is a ball of light comprised of spirits of the damned that existed even before the Necroquake, but Nagash has co-opted them for his own use. Then there are the Bladegeist Revenants, whom in life were subjected to the most torturous of fates, whether as guilty or innocent, such as being buried alive, walled off to somewhere no one could find them, being put in a sack and thrown into the sea, or imprisoned in an Iron Maiden. Nagash has taken their spirits and kept them suspended in that last moment of desperate clinging to life before death. In their undeath, they believe they have weapons of opportunity, even though they have great swords that can lob limbs easily, as they spin like a tornado at their foes. For them, there is no respite, as they are forever stuck in a state of clinging to the life they already lost, and are not aware of it. Then, there are Mimorn Banshees, or Mimorn Banshees, I honestly don't know this one, which in life sought arcane powers. They were students, those who studied death magic, without paying proper respect to Nagash. And in death, they consume it in a hunger that can never be satiated. Wherever the winds of magic are highly concentrated, they are drawn to it like moths to a flame, and devour it like a ravenous animal that was given a slab of raw meat. Then there are the Dreadsive Harridans, whom in life were war surgeons and medics. Nagash hates such things because to him nursing someone back to health is to delay what is rightfully his. When such a person dies, although they wear once fine silk and have a flower crown on their heads, their hands are also replaced with scythes, and they use them to maim and kill the enemies of Nagash. Then there are the Cravethorn Guard, which in life were peasants with lack of morals that Kurdos Valantian told them to stalk worthy foes in the night. But they didn't listen, and like their leader, they were also cursed, and they hate their king for it. But anyhow, they use arrows that are drawn from their own essence, which manifest as spectral bolts. Finally, there is the Black Coach, the Ghost Rider that is operating this thing, and his steeds never tire of pulling the coffin behind them. It is infused with Shaishian energy. Who does the coffin belong to? A fallen undead of vast power. A Lich King, a vampire lord, or a powerful necromancer. And the more a Black Coach kills, the stronger it becomes, releasing more powerful arcane attacks from it, and also becoming stronger and stronger and stronger until the denizen inside is reinvigorated from the deaths of hundreds and can return to the state of their unlife or life, if they're a necromancer, but details. Well, anyways, guys, this is going to be it for this video. I am the Nameless Scholar, and beware of the night. They will come for you.